Hi, friends. Welcome to Color My Monday. I'm Tina, and I'm so glad you're here. This is your weekly moment to pause, play, and create with color, especially if you're using creativity as part of your healing, your joy, or just reclaiming a few moments for yourself. Today, we're exploring a fun and super accessible technique called pointillism, using Stampin Write Markers with the beautiful butterfly stamp set to build gentle, textured emotional layers of color. You don't need to be an artist to try this. Just a few dots of ink, and your story begins to bloom. Let's dive in. So I've already pre-cut my basic white cardstock. I cut it down to 3 3/4 by 5 inches. I've mounted my beautiful butterflies photopolymer stamp set. Remember, they come in these wonderful little cases and are clear, so they're really easy to see where you're going to be stamping. We're going to be using the Memento Tuxedo Black. And I'm using some of our carryover products because it is the beginning of May. Our new annual catalog is super fresh and just coming out. Most people have not gotten their hands on new products yet. So we are going to enjoy this. So you're going to want to start with a stamp that is mostly hollow, because instead of coloring it in with the stamp, you're going to fill in and add texture and color using pointillism. So I got my stamp nice and juicy and got that onto my cardstock. I always close my ink pads really fast, especially our alcohol-based inks, because they dry pretty fast. And as you know, I keep a little reusable sandwich bag with my stamp chamois already damp. They get all gurked up and stained, but that's okay. They do the trick. So that's nice and nicely stamped. I'm going to wipe off my stamp before my ink dries on it. If it stains, it's not a big deal. Put away my stamp chamois, and I'm done with that for this round. And then I'm going to put my stamp back on its carrier sheet. Again, these just peel right up and store so nicely in our cases. They take up very little space. They stay nice and accessible. They store nicely. Our images are on the spine. And I try to tidy as I go. So when you're using pointillism, you're going to stamp your image, and then you're going to fill the image using the point side of your marker. And you're going to dot the image with your marker within the borders until the image is filled in like you want it. The brush tip can be also used to make a different size dots within the image, and it's a really great way to fill in an image in place of coloring the entire image directly, because sometimes we just don't want that, right? So I'm going to start off with my crushed curry, and I'm just going to add some dots, and you just space them out. There's no perfection here. Although for a butterfly, I like having it match up. Let's add a little extra light to this, maybe like so. There you go. Now you can see just a little bit better. And this is going to be pretty faint, just from the nature of the colors I'm choosing. It is fall, or spring. Now I'm going to shift over and add, let's go ahead and add some of our melon mamba. And I'm going to use the brush side and just add slightly larger dots. And again, I'm just random adding these, although I do like to keep my two sides similar. I'm not doing even the same number of dots because nature is stunning in her diversity, right? And I like having vibrant colors. I could get this way more densely dotted in, but I think this is turning out pretty nice so far. Let's add some Calypso coral and get that added in. Maybe even intersperse that into that melon mambo. And then we'll shift over to our freesia, the fresh freesia. Add some purples. And I'm making this slightly larger dotted, as you can see. And this will be delightful on a card or a scrapbook layout. I'm actually going to use the dies that came with this set and cut out that large, glorious butterfly later on. And I'll curl up the wings a little and attach it to a larger card, probably a 5x7 to attach to a birthday card. And then let's add some pumpkin pie. That orangey yellow, super pretty. And then let's add just a tiny little extra oomph by tapping some of our Wink of Stella. Remember to shake that up. Make sure your tip's a little extra juicy. And because I'm going to be cutting that, it doesn't really make much difference. And I'm going to use our little splatter technique by tapping and adding just a little bit of sparkle to this butterfly. Because, you know, why not? Sparkle is always, always, always welcome, right? So there we go. And then I'll just go ahead and use some of that pointillism and add some defined larger sparkle. There we go. So as you can see, that adds a lot. It adds texture, it adds color. I'm not going to add too much more. I really want it to shine with our new beautiful Florals in Bloom DSP, which is Design Series paper. And I'm going to make a card using this. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you really learned something new and acknowledge this is something everybody can enjoy. If this technique spoke to you today, I'd love for you to drop a comment and let me know what colors you'd use to tell your story. Hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode. And join me over on my Facebook VIP group. It's a safe, joyful place where we keep creating together. And the link is in the description. Until next time, remember, your story matters, and every mark you make is part of your masterpiece.